Hello, everyone, or more likely, I should say, bonjour, ça va. Sorry for my terrible accent. I do not speak French, but as you probably guessed from the title, in today's episode of the podcast, we are going to talk about France. Those of you who follow me on social media know that last week I was in Paris. So, in this episode, I'll share why I chose this particular city for a getaway, what I was doing there, which places I visited, and so on. I just hope that this episode will inspire you to travel to a new country or visit a new city in your homeland. And of course, I hope it will motivate you to learn English so you can speak confidently and communicate with people from all over the world. So don't forget to follow this podcast if you haven't done it yet, and let's get started. On the 8th of March, I woke up on the wrong side of the bed. It was supposed to be a great day, Women's Day, but I was just in a bad mood for no reason. And nothing made me smile, neither the flowers nor the small gift from Paul. Those of you who know me understand that this is a super rare and unusual situation. I'm usually positive and cheerful. I always find reasons to smile, even when I'm exhausted or feeling down about something. But that day, nothing helped. And Paul started to worry about me. After he tried different things to boost my mood, and nothing really worked, he decided to use the most powerful phrase that immediately made me smile and lifted my spirits. He said, "Why don't you go to Paris to visit Daria?" And I was like, "Oh my God, are you serious? Of course, I'd love to do that." And at that exact moment, I texted Daria, asked when she was available and whether she could, in general, host me. And in just 1 hour, I had tickets to Paris and I was over the moon. Now I believe it's time to explain who Daria is. So, Daria is one of the teachers from my team, and I've been working with her for about 3 years. When I first met her, I was conducting all the classes myself. I had 6 to 8 group classes a day, but even then, I couldn't take on all the people who wanted to study English with me. I had a strong desire to grow and expand my business, but there was a huge stereotype in my head. If people come to me, they wouldn't be ready to work with someone else. I was certain that I couldn't find a teacher with the same energy, experience, and attitude toward work and students. But I was so wrong. When I met Daria and visited her class, I was like, oh my God, this is the teacher I would love to work with. She was kind, friendly, cheerful, and supportive. The students felt really comfortable with her. She knew how to make the class fun and how to explain complicated grammar using simple words. So I offered her the chance to be the second teacher in one of my courses, and she agreed. After the course, I received lots of positive feedback from students, and that was the reason we continued working together. Now I have 4 teachers in my team, and all of them are unique and wonderful. But Daria will always be a very special person to me because she broke some stereotypes in my mind, and thanks to her, I started delegating. Now, together with my dream team, we are able to help even more people start speaking English confidently and fluently. So, just in case, if you are interested in boosting your English level, I invite you to join our courses for all levels, from beginners to advanced. We have everything you need to achieve your goals. Great teachers, convenient platform for homework, interesting topics for discussion, lots of speaking practice during classes, and a highly motivated community. I've created the courses that I'm really proud of because thanks to this product, I feel that I'm making a positive change in the world and bringing value to people. With a good level of English, our students find well paid jobs, relocate abroad, travel around the world and feel safe, watch movies, read books in their original language, and talk to people from different countries. So, if you've been thinking about learning English for a long time and you know that you need it, I invite you to take part in our courses. All the information about the start date, price, and program can be found in the description under this episode of the podcast. Follow the link below to learn more and see you in the courses. But now let's get back to my trip. The most challenging part of it was choosing the outfits. At that time, the weather in Gdańsk was around plus 10 degrees, and according to the forecast, the weather in Paris would be around plus 23 degrees during the daytime. I still hadn't bought any new spring outfits, and all my old clothes were hidden somewhere far away in the wardrobe. In addition to that, my ticket only included a small backpack because I was traveling with a low cost airline like Ryanair. Of course, I could have bought additional luggage like a carry on, but to be honest, for 2.5 days, it didn't make any sense. So, in the end, I took just one skirt, one pair of pants, one white short, and one t-shirt. I decided that my outfits would be simple, but I would take some pieces of jewelry like earrings, rings, and bracelets, and these accessories would make my outfits more appealing. On Thursday, I woke up at 5 a.m. and my flight was at 20 past 7. When you travel around Europe and you don't have luggage, it doesn't make sense to come to the airport too early because you don't need to go to a check-in desk and there is no passport control. On top of that, I live 20 minutes away from the airport by taxi, which is a huge advantage of Gdańsk. So I was at the airport 1.5 hours before my flight, and I even had enough time to have breakfast and drink coffee. No matter what's happening in my life, breakfast is the key. And it keeps me going through the day, and coffee too, especially when I haven't had enough sleep. The flight took about 2 hours, so I only had time to sleep a bit and listen to an audiobook. Before the flight, I downloaded a book called The 12-Week Year. I've recently heard a lot about this book, and when I found it available on the app where I listen to music, I felt excited to check it out. It's a self-development book focused on productivity and effective ways to achieve our goals. I haven't finished listening to it yet, but when I do, I will share my feedback on social media. So follow me on Instagram and Telegram to stay tuned. As I've already mentioned, I was flying with a low-cost airline. It's common for these airlines to land not in big cities, but 50 or 80 kilometers away in smaller airports. So when I landed, I had to take a bus to get to Paris, and the ride took about 1 hour and 45 minutes, almost the same amount of time as the flight itself. And then I had to use the underground to get to Daria. She lives in the different part of the city, and that took me another 50 minutes. So yeah, in total, the trip from my home to Daria's place took about 6 to 6.5 hours. When I entered the underground in Paris, I was immediately shocked by a few things. Firstly, there were people of all different nationalities. In Poland, people look pretty much the same. Polish, Belarusians, Ukrainians. Yeah, you don't see much difference. But Paris is truly an international city. Secondly, I was pleasantly surprised to see so many handsome men. They are stylish, they wear cool accessories and glasses, and many of them are dressed in a really nice way. For example, shorts with the jeans, or even suits with sneakers. Thirdly, considering how many people were using public transport, I immediately had an unconscious desire to keep a closer eye on my personal belongings, on my personal stuff. I held my wallet, my passport, and my phone tighter. As far as I know, Paris and Barcelona are two of the most well known cities in Europe for pickpocketing, and I definitely didn't want to experience that. When I finally arrived, Daria met me near the exit from the underground. And as we were walking to her place, I couldn't stop smiling. The weather was so nice. The sun was shining and the sky was blue without a single cloud. The grass was green and the trees were blooming. And thanks to the trees, the smell of the city was unbelievably pleasant. When we got to Daria's apartment, she cooked pasta carbonara for us. You know, this dish sounds so simple, but I personally never cook it at home. I don't know why. Maybe because Paul is allergic to pasta, or I'm just not used to making it only for myself, but I should definitely try and cook it at home. So while eating, we started talking about our students. Of course, what else do two teachers talk about? I mean, teachers who work at school, they have a teacher's room. And after classes, they go there and share news with each other. And in our case, we do not have a teacher's room, and doing it online isn't that fun. So Daria's kitchen became our teacher's room, and for 3 hours in a row we were talking about our students, their results, their achievements, needs, and etc. And also we shared some funny classroom moments, some of our failures, and some ideas for improvement. After that, we went for a walk around the city and immediately forgot about work. From then on, we were talking only about our personal lives and our experiences living in different countries. Actually, Daria and I have pretty similar stories. When I finished school, I entered a university in Lithuania. And when Daria finished school, she entered a university in Poland. And we were both studying in English. As an exchange student, I spent half a year in Belgium and then half a year in Denmark, while Daria went to France for half a year. And that's how she fell in love with France and decided she wanted to live there. So when she finished her bachelor's degree, she got accepted into a master's program in France as a full-time student. As a result, she lived in 3 different French cities: Lille, Strasbourg, and in September 2024, she relocated to Paris. Lille and Strasbourg are rather small cities, and Paris is huge. So, of course, I was curious about which place Daria finds more comfortable for living. She told me that they are still deciding whether they want to stay in Paris or move somewhere else. Of course, the capital has a lot of advantages. For example, many work related opportunities, great restaurants, museums, and exhibitions. And on top of that, there are 2 or 3 airports in Paris, if I remember correctly, so you can travel anywhere you want. But at the same time, the city is overcrowded and very noisy. And it's also overpriced. Accommodation is much more expensive than in smaller towns. And many restaurants raise their prices for tourists. So sometimes it takes a while to find something affordable at a reasonable price. And also, as far as I know, there are some dangerous areas in Paris, but I was always walking with Daria and her boyfriend, and they knew where to go and which districts to avoid, so I didn't feel unsafe. Actually, this was my second time in Paris. I was there 9 or even 10 years ago. Oh my God, I don't want to think about it because it feels like such a crazy long time ago. But back then, I was studying at university in Belgium, and my friend and I decided to go to Paris for the weekend. At that time, we had a rather limited budget, and we couldn't even afford to rent a hostel. So we stayed at an unknown guy's place through a website called Couchsurfing. And we slept on the floor. It wasn't a problem for us. We were young, energetic, and we desperately wanted to see the world no matter what. And we joked that this time I was again couch surfing in Paris, but this time I was sleeping on the couch in Daria's living room, not on the floor. And this time my host was much more fun and much more reliable. In addition to that, this time I was able not only to see Paris, but also to taste it. And I can say that it's a crime not to taste French cuisine because it's unbelievably delicious. Of course, I only had 2.5 days and I didn't have enough time to try many dishes, but the ones that I tried were super memorable. One morning, Daria's boyfriend Michael went to a bakery and brought us some fresh croissants and a baguette. I can say that it was an immediate integration into French culture because French people eat croissants or baguette for breakfast. The next day, we went to a big shop to buy some typical French delights. We bought 2 kilos of oysters, two kinds of cheese, and of course, a bottle of wine. I had eaten only one oyster in my life when I visited my cousin in England, and I remember that I had expected it to be much worse. But yeah, it wasn't so bad. But since it was only one oyster, I didn't remember the taste clearly, so I wanted to try it again. We had 2 kilos of oysters, which sounds a lot, but in reality, each of us had about 6 oysters. This time, it was enough to memorize the taste. And let me explain. Oysters taste, in my opinion, like the sea or like the ocean with drops of lemon. Yeah, because when Michael opened the oysters for us using a special knife, we squeezed lemon juice on top. And that's why I say that oysters taste like the sea with lemon. I can't say that it's my kind of food and I would eat it every weekend, but there is something special about eating oysters in Paris and then drinking wine. Yeah, it's definitely a memorable experience. The next day, together with guys, we went to a restaurant that served French cuisine. And there I tried snails. Oh my God. They were so tasty. I was expecting something similar to oysters, something that smells and tastes weird, but it was completely different. I can't even explain the taste, but it was so, so good. So now I have a desire to go back to France to eat more snails. If any of you guys have ever tried snails or oysters, please send me a message on Telegram or Instagram. I'm really curious whether you like the taste or not and which one you prefer more. In addition to that, this time I wanted to try onion soup because I've never had it before, but unfortunately, it wasn't served at the restaurant that we went to that day. So, this is the second reason to go back to France. And the third reason to go back to France is the delicious pastries. I can say that I'm a huge fan of buns, eclairs, and croissants. In daily life, I almost never buy them. Okay, maybe a pistachio croissant from my favorite coffee shop when I visited. But in Paris, the bakeries are unbelievably appealing. You can find anything you could ever imagine. I really tried to stay conscious and not to lose my mind completely. So during this trip, I tried only a croissant that Michael brought us, a chocolate bun that Daria recommended, and also a lemon tartlet. But I was enjoying not only these treats, but also the places where we were eating them. When we bought pastries, we went to parks. Those of you who follow me on social media may have seen some pictures from these parks. I would say they are pretty unusual. People in the parks either sit on the chairs placed all around the area or sit on the grass. One day we were sitting on the chair near a fountain and I felt so French. We weren't rushing anywhere, we were just enjoying the moment, eating tasty food, and chilling. The next day, all the chairs were occupied, so we went to sit on the grass. But I can say that it was just as amazing. Next to us was a group of people from different countries who spoke English. There were also lots of people around drinking wine, playing with dogs, and playing various group games. At that particular moment, I felt so happy and so lucky to be there to see all of that with my own eyes and to be part of this joyful crowd. For me, such moments are much more valuable than going to museums or art galleries because by observing people, their lifestyle, and how they spend their time, you can learn much more about the country and the locals. So, yeah, as you most probably guessed, I didn't go to any museums or art galleries during this trip. I was just roaming around, eating tasty food, drinking wine, and I didn't need anything else to be happy. During these days, we also talked a lot with Daria about French people, their mentality, traditions, and habits. And honestly, now in my notes, I have a long list of things that impressed me and that I would love to share with you. But I already see that this podcast is going to be long enough. So let's save that for the next episode. Again, send me a message on social media if you're interested in learning more about French people, and I'll be more than happy to share what I've learned. Thank you so much, guys, for staying with me today and for choosing this podcast. I really hope that this episode made you smile and maybe inspired you to travel somewhere. If for any reason you can't travel far away or go abroad right now, it's not a big deal. Explore the cities nearby, explore your country. It's spring now, and many places look amazing. Don't miss the chance to enjoy your time outdoors and notice the beauty of spring. I'll talk to you next time. Have an amazing day. See you. Bye bye.